be about where pollution is coming from is the Bay cleanup addressing all the sources. How confident are we where the pollution is coming from, and are we addressing all the sources?
I guess in reverse order, we're definitely addressing all the sources, much to the chagrin of some people probably would rather not be addressing all the sources. But you know, septics and air and wastewater and agriculture and urban stormwater runoff, they're all in there. And how well can we tell where it's coming from? Point sources, unfortunately. Ted, we know exactly what you guys are up to, because you know, there's 360-something significant sewage treatment plants in the Bay watershed. They submit monthly data. They collect daily data or hourly data. They submit it monthly. We know exactly the, you know, decimal places what the sewage treatment plants are putting in. When you get into the other sources, you know, it is a bit more of getting into using some of these model tools, but it is all based on data, and it is all based on science. Even the agriculture estimates that we have are based on, if you do these certain practices on an acre of farmland, what is the runoff before and after? And that's done by people like Virginia Tech and Penn State and other land-grant universities throughout the watershed. So it's all based on the data. And then I'm not certain if Carl said this about the model or not, but it's all ground truth by monitoring data, not by modeling data. So we know how much nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment is coming down each one of the major rivers. We have hundreds of monitoring stations out there. Now, we can play with the pieces to decide, again, we know we can subtract out sewage treatment because we know what it is. And there's a little bit of flexibility in how much is coming from stormwater and wastewater, but based on the land use that we have, and based on the science that we have, and based on the modeling tools we have pretty darn good reliability of how much is coming from all the different sectors. So, you know, do we have that down to a plus or minus 0.5%? I don't know, but I can tell you that the modeling data matches up pretty darn tightly with the monitoring data.
Thank you, Jeff. This is the questions directed to Anthony and Jeff. We'll see where this goes. What role do federal facilities play in this effort? You know, I have the privilege of serving the 2nd District. We have the highest concentration of men and women in uniform in the country. Active duty and retired, and of course Oceana and the Naval Base, Little Creek, it just goes on and on. Wallops on the eastern shore, and Langley on the peninsula. So what is the role of the federal facilities? And
I think with the President's executive order, the federal facilities are supposed to help us to lead in the development of these TMDLs and pollution reduction. And we've had very good conversations with the Department of Defense and also the Navy, and they've been very active in helping us to put together a plan. We have had several meetings with them on actually putting together an MOU so they would help us to make more reductions than they're actually required to meet. So if we look at the federal facilities as a whole, they have been very helpful, not only just looking at those areas that are permitted or MS4s, but also looking at the whole federal facilities, agricultural land, forest land, and other types of land have been very helpful.
Are you satisfied with that answer, Joe?
Yeah, I would just add that through the development of the TMDL, we actually issued guidance to the federal facilities and instructed them that they are a big landholder. I forget in the Bay watershed, they're 6% or 8% of the land use is federally owned land. And we instructed them, you can either put together your own plan for, you know your base or your park the best. Tell us what your land use is and what pollution reductions you can achieve, and submit that to the state as your own plan, or work with the state and integrate your part of the plan into the state plan. We left it up to the federal facilities and how they wanted to do that. And I think it's kind of been a mixed bag. I mean, some of the federal facilities are kind of new coming into this process, but I think overall we've had pretty good interaction. And as we move forward, I think a lot more of them are stepping up to the plate because they realize that they've got to have ownership in the plan. If they don't come up with what they can do at their facility, either the state or the feds are going to tell them how to do it. So I think they're starting to realize they need to be more part of this process.
And Anthony, I can just affirm and confirm what you've shared in my travels throughout the district as a member of the House Armed Services Committee. Every one of our bases has a base commander. It's like the mayor, or she's like the mayor of his or her respective base. There's the operational side, that's different, but the base itself has a commander. And every base, I've been on all of our bases, of course, and they have a high degree of understanding of their role. I don't think in any way that it's taken away from their mission. And I think they've been very, very good neighbors and responsible stewards of the resources that they've been entrusted with. So I see that as a very positive development. Oh, this question is directed to you, sir. Can't we just put millions and millions of oysters in the bay and the Hampton Roads tributaries and have them clean up pollution? Carl? Oysters. Lots of them.
Yeah, probably more than millions of millions. There is quite a bit of ongoing research which does, in fact, demonstrate that oysters can be an effective treatment for removing things from the water, including nutrients. Of course, one of the nicer things about it is when you put the oysters out and filter everything, then you have to eat the oyster in order to get the advantage of the nutrient removal. But the Lynn is a hotbed for some of this work right now. And so much of the development work for the Bay program is being done right here to figure out just what the limits and opportunities are for using that particular bio-treatment.
You know, Bruce Bradley, a good friend, former publisher of the Virginia Pilot, he goes around with a 5-gallon aquarium. He puts five oysters in murky water, and like 2 hours later, I think I've got my facts right here, but it's that dramatic. And then you got clear water. And it's clear, no pun intended, that the oysters are what created filtered the water. So this is like doing well by doing good. You know, when we plant the oyster beds and we encourage this and bring it into the high schools and bring it into our backyards, this is just good for business and good for our environment and a natural filtering system. So whether it's maybe not the total solution, it is a big part of it, and I think one we need to really pursue. Okay, Ted, this question is for you. Honor all HRSD plants currently achieving state-of-the-art treatment, and specifically pharmaceuticals, if you can address that. And what new or innovative technologies or ideas is HRSD pursuing?
State-of-the-art would be an interesting definition. We're talking about nutrients. No, not all of our plants are fully upgraded. One of the benefits of the 2005 legislation in the state was the ability to assign waste load allocations in a bubble format, essentially allowing plants that discharged into the same body of water, group them together and come up with the most cost-effective solution to that. And so we do have several plants that have been upgraded to state-of-the-art nutrient removal. We've got some more that need to be done, and we're working in that direction. The other part of the question is what new and innovative, I guess there's one question on pharmaceuticals. Just like we weren't designed to remove nutrients, we weren't designed to remove pharmaceuticals. And currently there isn't any plant in Virginia that I'm aware of that is doing anything to remove pharmaceuticals other than encourage people not to flush their unused drugs down the toilet. Regardless of what the doctor says, that's not the proper way to dispose of unused medications, and keep them out of the water system as best you can. But we don't do anything about pharmaceuticals. That's the area that's the industry is looking at hard. And finally, new and inventive and creative things we're doing. We've got some state-of-the-art research going on to try to reduce the cost of nutrient removal, and it's exciting stuff. We've leveraged the universities here in Virginia, along with some international community, and we're really trying some things out right off of Shore Drive at our Chesapeake Elizabeth plant that if it pans out will reduce the cost of removing nutrients by about 60 to 70% of our plants. But we've got a number of years to go with that. It is very much cutting edge technology. We're employing some microbes that have not been used in the United States to make that happen. So we're on the cutting edge and we're hoping to see some success there.
I'm so proud of our panelists. Only members of Congress can exercise as much discipline in their answer to questions and being timely and concise. I appreciate that. Now, John, brace yourself. You've got a fastball coming at you here, okay? Okay. I'm only reading the question, not responsible. No, it's a good question. It's a tough one. The city of Virginia Beach has, by many accounts, set a high standard and made it for the last 20 years. TMDL will now put Virginia Beach in the same, quote, bucket, unquote, as Norfolk and Chesapeake, who, by IDAs, I'm not sure, right, for a highly developed watershed, have not met a similar standard. Please justify.
You weren't kidding.
I hope
I hope that wasn't one of my standards.
disparity among the cities in performance.
Back to the IDA concept to start with, intensely developed area concept as part of the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Act. The Bay Act in Virginia was designed to make sure that we don't make that worse. It was not designed to be a mechanism for restoring what we've already done with watershed. Within the IDA concept, and I'm not going to speak for Chesapeake or Norfolk about how they actually implement it, but in many cases, the areas that they're talking about, the drainage already goes under the buffer areas and the areas that they were trying to restore or protect. One of the difficulties in a Norfolk or Portsmouth or Hampton, Newport News, any of the very developed areas, and I think the beach has the same problem in some parts of the community. If you have developed property, you want to go back and you want to fix that as part of meeting the stormwater requirements in the TMDL. Local government don't have the authority at this point to require the guy who already owns this piece of property to go fix it. The only way local governments get at that is if he applies for a change in his land use. He wants to redevelop it, he has to come in and do something. What we're looking at as a region is how do you get the private property owner to do something when he's not required to? And that's going to be a voluntary effort. It's going to require local governments, the watershed organizations, wetlands watches, working with people right now to try and define some ways of doing that as a cooperative venture to move forward.
John, thank you. And I encouraged our board the other day just to think of ways that we can personalize this effort in the Bay. I think we're more effective when we bring it down to the neighborhood level. And I'm not for any at all suggesting that we can do this entirely on a voluntary basis, but we can do a lot on a voluntary basis. And frankly, I think more than we're doing now. But we do need the APA. We do need a global overarching strategy to move this forward. And we're having a good discussion on this tonight. We've got some other questions. We've got a few more minutes here, and let's keep going. I'm just going to read them as I proceed. Okay, let's go to Anthony. Is there or will there be an internet site by which this conversation can continue? Great question. Thank you. Whoever offered that. Anthony, a website?
Well, the Department of Conservation and Recreation and also the Department of Environmental Quality for Virginia both have web pages where you can send in comments. You can look at the TMDL and find out where we are in developing the Phase 2 program. So I would say those two sites are probably the best place to go to look at where we are. And we continually have stakeholder meetings to update them on our project with this Phase 2 and some of the other different programs that we're putting together for this Phase 2 TMDL. But I would look for DCR and DEQ websites and look for TMDL.
Okay, very good. And I certainly make a shamelessly want to make a plug for what we're doing. You can get on our website as well, and in our original.house.gov. We'll put that slide up in just a moment. And you can get our weekly newsletter, and we'll talk about these issues and stay informed. It doesn't mean you necessarily agree with us on everything, but it does mean that you want to be informed about how I'm serving and representing the district. So I encourage you tonight, if you've not done so already, you can, Shannon, if you may, have somebody go out to the board and take people's names or email addresses. We'll sign you up for you if you'd like, make it easy for you. Here's the next question. Jeff, this is a good one, and if you could just unpack this a little bit for us, I think it'd be helpful. What happens if the state does not meet its milestone goals.
Well, there's not much to unpack there. That's pretty straightforward.
Frame this